Obina was born into privilege, the son of a wealthy chief in a vibrant African village. His father had several wives, each vying for his attention and favor. Growing up in such an environment, Obina learned early on that a man could have many women. He watched as his father's status allowed him to take what he wanted, and he internalized this lesson as he approached adolescence. At the age of 13, Obina, emboldened by his father's influence, decided to explore this idea for himself. He gathered 4 maidens from the village and, with bravado, took them to his room. This moment marked the loss of his virginity and set him on a reckless path. Excited by his newfound power, he began to see women as conquests rather than individuals, and he quickly became known as a heartbreaker among his peers. As he entered high school, Obina's reputation grew. He flirted with every girl, charming them with his wit and good looks. He reveled in the attention, enjoying the thrill of seduction. However, behind his charming facade was a growing emptiness. With each girl he discarded, he felt a fleeting sense of satisfaction, but it was always followed by a nagging sense of guilt. When he reached university, Obina was at the height of his playboy lifestyle. Parties were frequent, and the attention from women seemed endless. He enjoyed the chase, often bragging to his friends about his conquests. Yet, amid this whirlwind of casual relationships, he met Ada. Ada was different from the others. An introverted girl with a gentle spirit, she captivated him in a way no one else had. He noticed her quiet strength and beauty, and for the first time, he felt something more profound than mere attraction. Obina pursued her, knowing she had a crush on him. However, Ada set a clear boundary: she wouldn't engage in any sexual relationship until she turned 25. She was only 20, and her commitment to her values intrigued him. Obina, however, was impatient and driven by his desires. He wanted Ada, and he was determined to have her, no matter the cost. One fateful night, he concocted a plan. After a party, he offered her a drink laced with a drug, believing he could have her without her consent. Under the influence, she was unable to resist his advances. The next morning, Ada woke up with a heavy heart, realizing what had happened. She confronted Obina, her voice calm but filled with pain. "You violated my trust, Obina. I warned you that I wasn't ready," she said, tears in her eyes. Her words pierced him, but he couldn't comprehend the depth of his betrayal. Pride took over as Obina boasted to his friends about sleeping with Ada, but their reactions stunned him. "Who is Ada?" they asked, looking at him as if he had lost his mind. Confused and desperate, Obina sought out Ada, but she had vanished. Days turned into weeks, and no one in the university seemed to know her. As the reality of his actions sank in, Obina spiraled into despair. Women began to shun him, even the most casual acquaintances turned their backs. He was no longer the charming player, but a pariah. Frantic, he visited pastors, traditional healers, and herbalists, seeking answers. But each attempt to restore his reputation failed. In time, he realized that he had lost more than just Ada, he had lost his identity. Months passed, and in his darkest moments, Obina discovered that his manhood had disappeared. It was a cruel twist of fate, leaving him feeling helpless and ashamed. With nowhere to turn, he sank deeper into depression. His mother, seeing her son suffering, took him to the river goddess, hoping for a miracle. As they approached the sacred site, the air was thick with tension. The goddess, a powerful figure, listened to their plea, but instead of sympathy, she laughed at Obina's plight. "You violated one of my daughters," she said, her voice echoing around the riverbank. "You were warned, yet you acted with selfishness. Had you been patient and respectful, you would have thrived. But now, you are cursed." Obina's heart sank. The weight of his choices crashed down on him, and he realized the magnitude of his actions. He had sacrificed not just his own future but also the life of a girl who had trusted him. From that day forward, Obina was doomed to a life of misery, haunted by his past. He returned to the river often, offering gifts in hopes of redeeming himself, whispering Ada's name into the flowing water, longing for forgiveness that may never come. Obina stood before the river, the moon casting a silvery glow on the water's surface. His heart raced as he prepared to confront the goddess, the embodiment of his shame and regret. The night air was thick with tension, and the familiar whispers of the river seemed to call him, urging him to seek redemption. As he called out, "Great goddess of the river, I seek your mercy," the water began to churn violently. From its depths, the goddess emerged, majestic and fearsome, her long hair cascading like flowing water, eyes gleaming with an otherworldly light. "You dare summon me again, Obina?" she asked, her voice echoing like thunder. "Do you believe that after your betrayal, I would show you mercy?" Desperation clawed at his chest. "I have suffered for my actions. I seek redemption, not for my sake, but to honor Ada and protect those who have been hurt like her. I am ready to face any challenge you set before me." The goddess regarded him with piercing eyes, and for a moment, silence enveloped them. "Very well," she said, her voice dropping to a more serious tone. "I will grant you back your manhood, but it comes with a price. You must complete 3 arduous tasks, and if you fail, you will be cursed to live with the emptiness you have known." Obina nodded, feeling a mix of hope and fear. "What are these tasks?" "The first task is to find and help 3 women in your village who are suffering from abuse. You must show them kindness and empower them to reclaim their lives. You will face their pain, and only then will you understand the depth of your own wrongs." Obina swallowed hard but nodded in agreement. "I will do it. The second task is to dedicate yourself to educating young men about respect and consent. You must go into the community and speak openly about the consequences of your actions. It will not be easy, and many will not want to hear your words. You must face their anger and scorn, but do not shy away from the truth." His stomach twisted at the thought, but he steeled himself. "I will not turn away from the truth." "The third and final task," the goddess continued, her voice resonating with authority, "is to confront your past. You will seek out the families of the women you've hurt and apologize to them personally. You must acknowledge the pain you caused and ask for their forgiveness." Obina felt the weight of her words, each one a heavy burden he would have to carry. "I accept these tasks," he declared, determination flooding his veins. The goddess nodded, her expression softening slightly. "Remember, Obina, true redemption requires more than just words. You must act with sincerity and compassion. If you succeed, your life will be restored, and you will no longer be haunted by the curse of your actions." With a wave of her hand, she summoned a blinding light, and Obina felt a rush of warmth envelop him. He gasped as he realized he had regained his manhood, but the thrill of it was quickly overshadowed by the enormity of the tasks ahead. "Go forth, Obina," the goddess commanded, her voice fading as she retreated into the depths of the river. "Your journey begins now." Determined, he set out to fulfill the tasks laid before him. The first task was a daunting one. He reached out to the local women's shelter, finding 3 women who had endured unspeakable hardships. Each had faced abuse and betrayal, their spirits dimmed but not extinguished. Obina listened to their stories, providing a safe space for them to express their pain. He helped them regain their confidence, encouraging them to pursue education and build new lives. With each woman he assisted, he felt a flicker of healing within himself, but the weight of their suffering lingered in his heart. The second task proved even more challenging. He organized workshops in the community, confronting young men about respect and consent. Many scoffed at him, dismissing his words as meaningless. Obina faced their anger and ridicule, but he pressed on, sharing his own story of downfall. He spoke of Ada and the pain he caused, hoping to reach even one heart. Slowly, some began to listen, their expressions shifting from mockery to contemplation. It was a small victory, but it fueled his resolve. For the third task, he sought out the families of the women he had wronged, a daunting endeavor filled with dread. Each visit was met with hostility, pain, and anger, and he felt the weight of their grief pressing down on him. Yet, he stood firm, offering heartfelt apologies. In each encounter, he witnessed the impact of his past actions, and with every tear shed, he was reminded of the depth of his transgressions. It was agonizing, but necessary. Days turned into weeks, and as Obina completed each task, he felt a shift within himself. The curse that had once haunted him began to fade. The goddess's words echoed in his mind: true redemption requires more than just words. Finally, after completing the last task, he returned to the river, heart racing with anticipation. "Great goddess," he called out, kneeling at the water's edge. "I have fulfilled your tasks. I stand before you, changed and humbled." The waters stirred, and the goddess emerged once more, her gaze piercing. "You have faced your past, learned from it, and sought to make amends. I see the sincerity in your heart. Will you restore my life?" Obina asked, hope blossoming in his chest. The goddess nodded. "Your journey toward redemption has only just begun, but you have proven that you are capable of change. I will lift the curse, but remember, it is your actions from this day forward that will determine your fate." With a wave of her hand, she bestowed upon him a blessing, and Obina felt a surge of warmth envelop him once more. The burden of guilt he had carried for so long lifted, replaced by a renewed sense of purpose. "Go now, Obina," the goddess instructed. "Use your second chance to empower others, and your life will be richer than you ever imagined." With gratitude filling his heart, Obina returned to his village, ready to embrace the path of redemption. He knew he would face challenges ahead, but he was no longer the man who had succumbed to temptation. He had found strength in vulnerability and purpose in service. As he walked through the village, he felt the weight of his past still lingering, but understood it was no longer a curse, but a guide. He would continue to work tirelessly, determined to honor Ada's memory and protect those who needed it most. In the end, Obina learned that true manhood was not defined by conquests, but by the courage to confront one's mistakes, to seek forgiveness, and to uplift others. And with that understanding, he stepped forward into a new chapter of his life, ready to embrace the challenges and joys that lay ahead.